It's here. Yes, Unmatched Adventures, it's finally here. So I am so excited for this one. I just rushed home to make this video so I can actually open it and play with it because I want to do some cooperative solo play, so I'm really excited. So I will say I did keep myself completely virgin eyes to this one. I didn't watch any videos. I haven't read any cards, so we're gonna go in this blind together. So first off, let's look at the box here. The biggest difference in this box is they changed the color of the outside. So normally it has a black outside, and of course it doesn't have the Unmatched Adventures up on top. So this is what distincts that it is Adventures, the white box. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I like the white box. I think it clashes a little too much with the black box. I wish they would have done like maybe a color to go with each adventure. Like maybe this is the green box, the next adventure is red and blue and green. That would have been really fun. But we got white. So let's take a look at the outside of the box here. So this artwork is really, really pretty. Kind of has that painterly look to it. I will say it's probably not my favorite, but we do have all the different characters here. So we have Annie Christmas up front, Dr. Jill, Golden Back, and Tesla. And also we got Moth Man's eyes in the back. We got the aliens, the tarantula. I think this part here is the blob, the Jersey Devil, the skunk ape, and then the giant ant. So looks really good. Oh yeah, and also there's the Loveland frog as well. So yeah, let's look at the sides here. I did notice this whenever I picked it off the shelf, that the artwork they used on the side is just recycled from the front. So I'm not complaining too hard, but it is just a little bit lazy. If we look at one of the other boxes here, the artworks they use on the sides are just bigger pieces of the artworks they use on the cards, which they also did different artwork on the inside of the box as well. So I guess we'll open it up and kind of see what that looks like. But before we open it up, we can also flip it on over here and take a look at the back. So here's all 4 of our fighters. And then of course we got 2 sidekicks, and then Tesla's tokens there, and then Golden Bat is by himself. And then I'll be honest, the only character I knew out of here was Nikola Tesla. Obviously this is like the steampunk kind of over-exaggerated version of him. I have heard of Annie Christmas, but I don't know anything about her besides the fact that she's from Mississippi and she's really tall. The other 2, this is the first time I've ever heard of them. And then we got our big old villains here, the Moth Man and the Martian Invader. I will say I'm slightly disappointed that the Moth Man is a villain because they didn't make the villains playable. So we got this really nice miniature, huge one of him. But I'm probably gonna check out making a custom deck so you can play as the Moth Man. And then we also have our or I guess those aren't all of them, but most of our little minions or sidekicks, whatever they're called in this version. So yeah, so let's open this up and take a look. Let's remove the top here. And then the first thing we got here is a little leaflet. And it actually shows our Battle of Legends box, little red, Houdini and Genie, and then, ooh, it actually shows Sun Origins there. So that one is not out yet as of filming this one, so that's kind of fun that they already have it included. Then we have all of our Marvel sets, a little thing about the digital, and then 2 of their other games. And then, ooh, this is actually interesting. So there's 2 rule books here. There's the core rules, which I'm guessing is just the regular. Oh, actually, yeah, so it doesn't even use just artwork from the set like most sets do. It has all the different sets. I mean, there's Alice from Battle of Legends Volume 1. So that's Volume 1. And then that's Volume 2 with Sun Wukong, as well as Cobble and Fog. So they're mix and matching here, which is very interesting that they decided to do that. Yeah, there's Beowulf and Robin Hood and Houdini. So yeah, very interesting. I guess it's a small detail that you wouldn't notice unless you owned all the other sets, but it's interesting that they mixed and matched the different artworks, and they also took out the section that talks about the specific characters and made it its own thing. So I wonder if they're gonna do this for each of the old sets, because that would be really nice to just have one core rulebook and then slap all these really nice and thin versions for each, you know, character, so that you don't have to carry around like 10 of these. So that's interesting. So yeah, let's set those aside. And then, oh, this is another rule book. So I guess this is the rule book for just the solo and cooperative play. Yeah, because it goes through all of the different pieces for that. So that's interesting. I wonder why they decided to make this one quite a bit bigger. Maybe just to, you know, differentiate that this is for the cooperative play. There's all of our minions back there. I'm excited to see these tokens in person. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that the cooperative play one is way bigger than the core rules here. So I guess just to differentiate, I will say I do like this looks like a comic. I will say it's, I believe, the same size as a comic book, so maybe that's what they were going for. Ooh, and then next we have our punch outs. This one I was very excited to see in person, is the big villain health markers here. Oh, and then it looks like Jill Trent actually does have a punch out. It didn't show on the back of the box. We'll have to look more into that whenever we review her. But we'll skip these for now. We'll look at all these guys in depth in just a second. I'll punch them all out and we can take a close look. But just kind of do an overview first. Oh yeah, and then I do like how they made the minions have. Ooh, I'm gonna drop everything. The minions have that kind of hexagonal health dial to really differentiate them. And then I will say a little bit of spoiler. I'm gonna have to make a deck for each of these characters. You can't just make them and not give us playable versions. I mean, come on. Oh yeah, then there's player 1, player 2, so you don't forget the order that everybody's playing in. And then it looks like tokens for the Martians. As I said, I'm going into this blind, so I don't really know what all these are for. I'm excited to learn. And then we got a third punch out board. I'm just loving these. I think the Jersey Devil one's really pretty. And then yeah, it looks like also they changed the font for the minions as well, because all of the regular Unmatched fighters all share the same font on their name tag, but they changed it for the minions there. Sorry if I'm talking slow. I'm just admiring all the pretty artwork on these punch outs. And then next here is our board. So let's push that aside so we can kind of open this up. And this is interesting because it's, I believe, smaller than the other Unmatched boards because it folds up a little bit tighter. Let's take a look here. The other boards are about the same size as the original box. So yeah, it's a little bit thinner on the side and a little not as tall. So yeah, well actually I do have a board here, so let's quickly compare. This one folds up in more slices, but this is a regular Unmatched board, so it is smaller when folded up, which is kind of nicer because you can fit it in a smaller box. And this one plays not only the adventures, but also it's for 5 players. So maybe I'll have to carry this one around if I'm just bringing one board. So let's take a look at the board real fast. I'm not gonna look too in depth on it because I want to look at it later. It looks like this is the Moth Man side. It has, it's called Point Pleasant. It has the markers for him to win, as well as destroying a bridge. Bridge is destroyed and what happens, and then Moth Man wins. And then yeah, we have all the way up until 5 players for starting spaces. And then on the back here, yep, this is the alien board. And they also have numbers for the crop fields here, so that's interesting. And then yeah, the thing up here is different. So instead of the bridges, it has each of the alien symbols. So I don't know what these mean just yet, but we'll look at it in a little bit. And then the Martian Invader wins. And this one is called McMinneyville OR, so Oregon. Did it say what state it was on this side? It didn't, so Point Pleasant. So I'm not quite sure where Point Pleasant is, but maybe I'll know where it is. I'll set it right there. So let's keep looking. Before we look inside the box, I want to quickly look on the outside here. And yeah, so once again, this is the artwork for the health dials from what we just saw, I believe. Or actually, no, it looks a little bit different, so maybe it's not. But ooh, that is, yeah, it's a repeat on the other side. So once again, it's like, it's very nitpicky. If this is your only box you're buying, you're not probably gonna care about that. But for someone who has all of the different sets, it's slightly disappointing that they are not getting lazy, but just not caring as much about the little details. Because this is volume 1 here, the first one they released, and you could just tell they really care. They put a lot of effort into all the small details, the front, the side, just everything. They really put the details in, so it's kind of sad that they're starting to skip out a little bit. But yeah, going in here, let's first take out our little plastic punch outs here. We don't need those just yet. And then in the back here, this looks like the cards for, yeah, so for Moth Man, the Invaders, and all of the minions. So not a lot of cards. So let's keep going. And then we have some smaller cards. And this is the initiative. I saw a little bit about how it's played, but I think initiative is just how, like what the turn order is. Like it can change every round, so instead of just revolving. But we'll once again look at those a little bit later. And then let's look at the card backs here. So there's Golden Bat. And then next we have Annie Christmas. I don't know if I like this one. This is kind of ugly to me. But let's keep going. Nikola Tesla here. And then next we have Annie Christmas, or that's not Annie Christmas, but Dr. Jill. This one looks the most like a fan-made deck. I like how all the other ones look. But yeah, these two are really nice looking, but these two kind of don't feel like actual decks made by Unmatched. They look kind of like fan decks. So interesting. Let's keep going. I mean, they're on what? Their 45th fighter, so you can't really blame them too much for not being able to keep innovating. But here we go. This is Moth Man. This is really, really pretty. I love how he turned out. As I said, I got to make a deck so I can play as him because, man, this is so cool. And then his wings there are just slightly transparent, but it doesn't show that well on camera. But yeah, you can see my finger behind it. And then I will say I'm a little bit surprised. I thought these guys were a lot bigger. I guess let's quickly take a different one here. We can take out Annie Christmas here. They're not that much bigger. I thought these guys were huge. Like, yeah, they're not that much bigger than a regular fighter. If we take a look at the T-Rex, I thought they were going to be T-Rex sized. So yeah, I mean, he's nothing compared to the T-Rex here. He's not that scary whenever the T-Rex appears on board. So yeah, I guess I was thinking that we would have to make a large fighter deck for him, but he can just be a regular fighter with the size he is. And honestly, they need to make a Unmatched Adventures for the T-Rexes. Now that's menacing on the board. But yeah, let's keep going. And next here is, ooh, actually it comes in 2 pieces. That's interesting. This is the Alien Invaders. Let's see how that pops on there. I believe it's trying to fit, yeah. There's a specific, you can kind of see how it's like oddly shaped because it has to fit in exactly there. So we push that all the way in. And there it is. There's the Alien Invaders. Bring Mothman back here. So the Alien Invaders are even bigger. That's a really fun one. I think this could be a fun deck to play as, like, for a custom deck. You could definitely do, like, you know, this is like not the spaceship doesn't attack much, but all like his little alien figurines do attack for him. But let's talk about the set instead of the custom decks I'm planning on here. Very, very pretty. I really like this one. That's interesting that you take it in and out every time you store it. I do like that they made the peg really, really thick there, because that'd be my only worry, is that taking this in and out all the time, you might accidentally snap that peg. But this is really, really solid. I can't even make it wiggle at all. So yeah, so let's stick that back on there and keep going. Let's look at our fighter here. It's already looked at, and that's interesting. Once again, from someone who owns a lot of Unmatched things, this is the first time they've had them slot in like a hole. It's usually like these two down here, where it's like just like it fits them absolutely perfectly. But this one, they're just straight up. So as you clunk around the box, they're going to be clunking side to side. So I'm glad that Goldbat here got his own full section there, so that we don't break his sword. But before we look at him, let's look at Annie Christmas here. So this is our 7-foot tall hero. She looks really good. Let's see if I can have it focus just a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So she looks great. So I'm just admiring her details. This is the first time I've really looked at her. And the camera angle that I'm using doesn't focus very well looking up this close. So let's move on. Let's just quickly do a quick look at all 4 of them. Get each one out here. Once again, Goldbat is obviously gonna be my favorite here. He's the coolest of the 4. And we'll look at these a little bit more in depth when we look through their decks. And then lastly here, so that is the whole thing. We can kind of look here. We got for Mothman, for the Invaders, and then 2 of our fighters, 2 of our fighters, and then it looks like all the health dials for the minions and the villains are gonna fit there, and then everybody's cards fit here. And I'm trying to like guess here. This one looks like Nikola Tesla's by the way it's shaped. This one has a bunch of cards in it, so I'm not quite sure who that is for. But maybe it's not exactly for them. That's just storage for the cards for other things. But yeah, let's look at these tokens real fast, because we have some different tokens than we are used to. So first we have our regular sidekick tokens, and this is actually interesting from somebody who also, once again, has a lot of these. The the edges are rounded. They're not blunt. So they feel a little bit different, almost like Canadian Smarties instead of like the acrylic punch outs. It's a very subtle difference, but it's definitely different than, you know, what we're used to here. And then we have all of our minion tokens here. And I said, once again, we'll look at these a little bit more in depth when we go through their decks. But once again, it's cool that they made them hexagonal instead of circle, so that you know that it's, you know, a bad guy instead of one of your teammates' heroes. And then there's this one red token, I'm guessing to track some sort of thing for the adventure itself. And then in this little bag here, we have eyeballs of the Moth Man and the eyes of the aliens. So I'm guessing these are used to like show where the little helpers are for the villains. I guess we'll find out in a second. But yeah, they are really tiny. I mean, the psychic tokens are already pretty small, even smaller than the base of the fighters. But these guys are really tiny, so maybe they're considered small fighters. I'll have to pull out some of the squirrels and see if the squirrels are bigger, because I feel like the squirrels are bigger. And that's all of our tokens. So yeah, I'm gonna put everything together, and then we can look through each fighter and villain in depth by themselves. Golden Bat. We had to start with him because I was just too excited to check him out. Just from kind of overviewing all 4 characters, I definitely looks like he's the one I'm going to want to play as, and might even be in my top 10 for all Unmatched fighters. I love that he has a shimmering golden base, and then he's also not even touching the base. He has his cape touching so he can be flying up into the air with his sword. I feel like this is what Spider-Man was trying to achieve with his cool stance, but Golden Bat did it just right. And once again, I was gonna say he's pretty stable, but he wasn't stable that first time. But yeah, so let's take a look at his health dial as well. This guy is a chunker with 18 health. I believe the 3rd highest health in the game. And I just love the kind of painterly style they did. And then the back is this golden bats. Looks great. I do want to point out his 0, so from 1 to 0 is just a bat when he dies. I love when they do little details like that. So yeah, let's move on. Let's look at his hero card here. Obviously the back is very normal. Do want to just quickly look over to see if they changed it now with adventures, but it doesn't look like it. So Golden Bat here is a melee fighter with 18 health. He has a move of 3, and his special ability here is the first superhero. If you haven't taken a maneuver action this turn, add +2 to the value of Golden Bat's attacks. So yeah, so you definitely don't want to end your turn next to him, because he's going to get real powerful. I like his quote here. It's just ha 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 ha. So yes, that's pretty cool. I'd be very interested. I love that. So he moves really fast to get up close next to you, but then so I guess you're not going to want to run away. But you are going to run away because of his +2 here. But I'm just kind of thinking of the different matchups he has. But that's a really interesting one there. It's like everybody else has to make sure that they're positioned correctly, or else they're going to be punished with basically 4 extra damage if, you know, that's where they start right next to you. So let's look at his deck here. I love this back here. Once again, I think Golden Bat, they just absolutely nailed him. I know nothing about the character, but the way they presented him here just makes me so excited to learn about him. So yeah, that's his card back there. So next, let's take a look at his cards here. We have, just like the big log from Bigfoot, this is a 5 attack for Golden Bat with a 1 boost, 2 copies, just super strength. So yeah, so he's a superhero. He has super strength, and he has 2 copies of that. Nothing much to say. It's just a big old hit. That's technically a 7 if you end your turn next to him. So that's really scary. And then his next attack here is a 2 attack for Golden Bat, 2 boost, 3 copies, vaporizing eye beams. After attack, your opponent discards 1 random card. That's another great one. I love his artwork, so fun. Next is an attack of 1 for Golden Bat, 1 boost, 3 copies, a punch to shake the earth. After combat, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in your zone. If you won the combat, deal 2 damage instead. So yeah, potentially could boost this up to a 3 with, you know, his +2 from his power there. So 3, you know, isn't always going to win, but you are getting at least 1 damage. So great with fighters that have a bunch of sidekicks. You just kind of slam the ground and then it cracks, and all the sidekicks get damaged. So yeah, 3 copies up. So that's all of his attacks there. So this is his first defense, a 3 defense, 2 boost, 2 copies. Imposing Presence. Immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. So this is a feint, but it's a 3 instead. But I guess a feint is versatile, so it's a defense versatile for 3. So very interesting, 2 of those. Next here, he laughs at your feebleness. It is a 5 defense, 3 boost, 2 copies. Just bullets are bouncing right off of him. If you can't tell, I'm very excited about this fight. I'm just enjoying all the art and the effects that I'm learning so far. Those are all of our defenses, only 2 different types of defense cards. And then this is Golden Bat. It is a 3 versatile, 1 boost, 3 copies. Terrifying Roar. Immediately, fighters cannot leave their space for the rest of the turn. So that is, I love that, because you're gonna run up to him, punch him, and think that you're gonna run away on your next move, but he's telling you that you gotta stay, so he gets those bonus +2 to his values. That's a really fun card. That's scary. He gets 3 of those. Then here we go. A 4 versatile, 1 boost, 2 copies is Skirmish. After combat, if you won the combat, move one of the fighters in the combat up to 2 spaces. So we already know about this. Other fighters have had this exact card. And then we have a 3 versatile for Golden Bat. It is 2 boost, 2 copies. Insight of the Ancients. After combat, if you won the combat, return a random card in your discard pile to your hand. So he can get those 5s back. He can get the Terrifying Roars back. So potentially he can get a lot of those back. So you even have 2 copies of this as well. And I love the city back there. I want to just research everything about this character. He's so fun, so interesting. I hope he has like a TV show or a comic book or something I can really enjoy. Next is a versatile of 2, a boost of 1, 3 copies. It is Sight Beyond Sight, and it is after combat, look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and put them back in any order. Interesting, so you can kind of see what's coming up. This guy is really nailing the playstyle for what I like playing in Unmatched too, so I think this guy was curated for me here. This is a 2 versatile, 2 boost, 3 copies, and it is like a flash of golden light. During combat, if Golden Bat shares no zones with the space he started his turn in, this card's value is 4 instead. So I kind of stumbled over that. So it's basically a 4 if he leaves the zone he started in, but it's kind of like him darting across here. So yeah, so you want to leave that space. After combat, move Golden Bat up to 5 spaces. So you get rewarded for moving a bunch. So you move a bunch, you get bonuses, and you get to move a bunch. So interesting. So he wants to stay still, but also move a lot. I like this. He's very zippy with his 3 move and move up to 5 spaces after combat. So that's all his versatile. So lastly here we have his scheme, and this is Alpine Fortress. This is a 3 boost, 3 copies, and this choose a card in your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck. Draw 2 cards, move Golden Bat up to 4 spaces. Man, you get 3 of those. That's very powerful. Once again, you get those 5 attacks back. You get that shout or whatever that one card was. This is very, very cool deck. Definitely seems like it's gonna be pretty strong. And then our last cards here, this is a scheme of 2 boosts, 2 copies, arrive just in time. Place Golden Bat in any space. Man, any space. These are crazy. So yeah, that is Golden Bat. I'm not gonna harp on him too much. I have not played as him yet, so can't really, fully tell if someone is good until we get to that point, but I am very excited about this. I love the cards that he has, love his artwork, and just love, his whole aura. So let's move on to the next fighter. Next up, Annie Christmas. Here she is. I do want to quickly bring a different character here and just kind of compare. Yeah, she is quite a bit taller, quite a bit girthier. She looks like she definitely packs a punch. And just kind of want to spin around and examine the details of this guy. I like that purple kind of, I don't know what you would call that color, but that nice light purple. And then we have our sidekick here, Charlie. Oh, now looking at it more detailed, he has a gun in his hand. Charlie, you gonna try to shoot somebody like Watson? And I kind of mentioned this when I was unboxing it, but this token is different. I don't know if they are changing to this type of token or just for adventures, or I don't know, maybe there was an accident, but let me bring in a different token from Unmatched. It is very hard to tell on camera, but the edge is a little bit sharper. This one looks like they just kind of punched it out, and it's, has that hard edge. But this guy has a rounded edge, like they punched out and then kind of smoothed it over. But yeah, that's Charlie. I do like that art with him, with his gun ready. And then next here are health dials. I love that yellow contrast, and this one does not have something fun for the 0, but that's all right. So here's our 14 health hero. It's Annie Christmas. She has her pearls all strewn about there. And then the back is just kind of a wallpaper design. And then we have Charlie, and his kind of looks like a poker chip with those pips on the side there. And I didn't check, but yeah, he does not have anything fun for the 0. And then the back is that same wallpaper design. I think it would have been fun if they did that same poker chip design on the back and made this look like a poker chip. But let's move on here. We have the hero card. Once again, same thing on the back. This is for Annie Christmas. She is a melee fighter with 14 health. And then we have Charlie, the sidekick, a ranged fighter. I love that combination, with 8 health, so a 22 total. And then you have a move 2, and her special ability is Necklace of Pearls. So I'm guessing in her backstory, those pearls are definitely important. And it is add 2 to the value of Annie's attacks if she has less health than the defender. So she has, I guess she has like a kind of a comeback mechanic here. So if she is losing, she gets that +2 to help, you know, beat them up. So she is better as the underdog. So I wonder if some of her cards here will do self-damage to kind of get that damage value back. But 14 is kind of in the mid-range. I know a lot of the fighters that are under it, and there's quite a few that are over it. Also says that she has less health, so if they're tied, I do know a lot with 14. So I'm guessing ties aren't good. So anything above 14, she's going to get a little bit of a boost. And then let's look at her card back here. And I kind of mentioned this whenever her face there's a little bit creepy. But I mentioned this in the unboxing. I don't think I like this card back. The kind of that pale tan color mixed with that like very vibrant yellow is kind of ugly. I don't think I like this one that much, but maybe I'll get used to it. We'll see. So let's look at her cards here. So this first one is for Charlie. Is a 3 attack, 2 boost, and it looks like he has a lot to do with cards and poker chips. And for whatever reason, that one is blank there, but maybe we'll see here. And this is a 2 copy bottom dealing, so he is cheating here. During combat, reveal the bottom card of your deck. Increase the value of this card by the boost value of the card revealed. Then put the revealed card on the top or bottom of your deck. So that's interesting. So you get a free boost. So this is a 3, but it's going to get boosted up by at least 1, hopefully. And then you decide if that card that you boosted with is a good card or a bad card. If it's bad, throw it to the bottom. Don't see it until the end of the game. Or if it's good, you're getting it next turn, or if you maneuver. So yeah, that's 2 for Charlie. And then this next one is Annie specific. It is a 5 attack, 2 boost, 3 copies. And that's Laganop. This is how you pronounce that. So I do not, I've never seen that word before. Immediately deal up to 2 damage to Annie to draw that many cards. This causes her special ability to apply. May cause her special ability to apply. So exactly, that's what I was just saying. Her cards are going to damage her, so she can do up to, so 0, 1, or 2. Draw that many cards, and then if that changes the health values, then she gets that ability. So that's kind of cool that you can change it mid-game and get that ability. So let's say she has, 14 health, your opponent has 14. You can take 1 damage, draw 1 card, you're at 13, they're at 14. So that means you're below, you get +2 attack. That's really fun. You get 3 of those, so 3 5s. That's real good. I do want to also pay attention to those boost values because Charlie apparently can be using those. So that's all the attacks that both have. So both have just 1 attack card. So that's interesting. Next is a defense card for both of them, an any card. She is quite a bit taller than Charlie there. And this is a Slick Talker, a boost of 3, 2 copies. Immediately, Annie and Charlie may swap spaces. If they do, the other fighter is now the defender. Interesting. I feel like we've seen that with some other sidekick characters. I like that card. That's fun. Next here is Mississippi Queen. It's a card for Annie, a defense of 2, boost of 3, 3 copies. Immediately, damage cannot reduce Annie's health below 1 this turn. Interesting. So she has 3 of those. So if you ever played Hearthstone, this is like Ice Block. You can't die if you play this one. And it's this whole turn. So if your opponent attacks on their first action of their turn, they can't kill you with the second action. So that's really interesting. Literally an Ice Block in Unmatched. And then, so that's all our defense cards. So I'm guessing they have, a lot of versatile cards. So this is a versatile 2 for Charlie, or just Charlie. 2 with a boost of 3, 2 copies, the turn and the river, another poker reference. After combat, draw 2 cards. So once again, can't be using this card draw if Charlie dies. So a reason to keep him alive, get some more card draw. And then here we go, he's bringing the gun out. This is an any card, a versatile 3, 1 boost, 2 copies. Long Shot. During combat, if the opposing fighter is not adjacent to your fighter, this card's value is 5 instead. So yeah, punishing you for attacking with range. Then next here is a versatile of 4 and any card, so they both can use it. A boost of 1, 4 copies. Okay, so 4 of this one. And it is Better Together. After combat, if your fighter is adjacent to a friendly fighter, your fighter and each friendly fighter adjacent to them gain 1 health. So interesting. So they definitely worded that for the adventures because you'll be, helping your teammates, or if you do 2v2, this card's pretty good. I like that they're kind of prioritizing working together with some of these new characters. And then here we go, some more poker stuff here, and he still has his little gun there. I hope he has a Watson just shoot him type of card. I guess he is ranged, so he is attacking with his gun. But this is a versatile of 3 and any, 2 boost, 2 copies, quite a pair. Another poker reference. Immediately, you may reveal 2 cards from your hand with the same name. If you do, cancel all effects on your opponent's card. So this is a, what do you call it? A feint if you can, show 2 pairs of a card. So this is very interesting. I like how they're not just giving these characters feints, they're making it conditional. It's very fun. Next here is an Annie specific, a 3 versatile, 2 boost, 3 copies. Keep your hands to yourself. And I'm noticing she has that stick in a few of these. She doesn't have it in her miniature, but a few of these images she has that stick. So I wonder if that's in her lore to have that weapon. Keeping your hands to yourself. After combat, move each fighter in the combat up to 2 spaces. So she's knocking them back. And then, so yeah, this is on her card back image there. This is a 1 versatile for Annie specifically, 3 boost, 2 copies. And that 3 boost is very helpful because Charlie can use that. Striking Beauty. I would not call that beauty, I would call that terrifying. After combat, deal 1 damage to the opposing fighter. If you won the combat, deal 2 instead. Okay, so you're gonna have to get that number up, which you can use with that +2. And then now we're on her scheme cards here. This is for Annie specifically. A 2 boost, 2 copies, Captain's Orders. Place Annie in any empty space in her zone. Then place another friendly fighter in an empty space in Annie's zone. Gain 1 action. Nice. So she can move herself and then move someone else from wherever they are to her zone. That's very interesting. Nice. Let's move on to her last cards here. This is another scheme for Annie. 2 boost, 3 copies. A few more pearls using that pearl necklace. Deal 2 damage to the opposing fighter adjacent to Annie. So she has 3 times, so 6 damage, or in 1 turn technically you'd be able to use 2 of these. Just 4 auto damage as long as she's adjacent. Very interesting. Okay, so let's move on to our next fighter. Nikola Tesla. Here he is. So this is a real person. Potentially Annie Crispus could also be a real person, but as I don't really know her lore, but this is a real person that they kind of steampunkified and over-exaggerated him. I love the way they did him. One of my biggest gripes about Unmatched is how they did Muldoon's gun. They just kind of made it look the shrimpiest little tiny gun. It did not look very good on his figure, but they did a great job on this figure. I love this orange color. Let's also look at his health dial here. I love the way they did the artwork on this. Let's check here. Oh, he does. He has a little crossbones kind of thing going on for his 0. I love when they do that little detail. And then let's look at the back here. Just kind of a spark. I will say I'll have to look through my collection again, but I feel like they usually did a little bit more work on the back of the card. I feel like they're just kind of doing some generic like color, then some scribble over it. So I just could be nitpicking, but I'll have to look through my collection and see if that's something that they usually do. Then we also, with this character, have some tokens. Love when characters have this. Obviously, use it sparingly. Also, another comparison with Muldoon, he has a bunch of tokens, but it's his charged Tesla coils and then uncharged. And I believe those Tesla coils are the ones on his back there. So yeah, let's look at his hero card here. This is Nikola Tesla, a ranged hero with 14 health, a move 2. And then his little quote here says, "You may live to see a man-made horrors beyond your comprehension." Okay, don't really know what to take of that. Electrical overflow. Start the game with 1 coil charge, so 1 of the 2. At the end of your turn, charge 1 coil. At the start of your turn, if both coils are charged, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to Tesla, then move them 1 space. Okay, so if they're both charged at the beginning of your turn, you kind of get a burst, you know, electrify a bunch of people, then push them back. So that's kind of fun. So I guess kind of incentivizing you to not spend all of your coils every turn, because you can get some auto damage and, you know, pushback with that. So that's fun. Move of 2. Let's look at his card back here. I feel like his card back really goes well with the villains here. It kind of has the same feeling to it, unlike the other fighters, but a very fun, very cool. I like how the electricity is going around the border on both sides here. So yeah, Nikola Tesla. So starting off with here, a attack of 5 for Tesla, a 3 boost, 2 copies, and it's alternating current. After combat, choose one and charge both coils, or discharge both coils to have Tesla recover 2 health. Cool, so a big hit, and then also a big charge up, or 2 health. So that's potentially 4 healing right there, so that's really nice. Next here is an attack of 4, 3 boost, 3 copies, 7 hurts. After combat, you may discharge coils. If you do 1, you gain 1 action. Also, if you do 2, you gain 1 action and draw 1 card. So that's pretty interesting. You get 3 of those, so you can be doing a lot in 1 turn if you play all 3 of these and just keep gaining 1 action. But then again, it does cost you coils, so you'd have to have 2 coils to get 2 actions. But also says if you discharge, so you would discharge 1 to get the action, discharge 2 to do it, then you have no charges for this next card. So maybe there's some cards that'll charge our coils back up, but we'll have to find out. Next here is an attack of 3, boost of 4. So let's see if he can use those boost to his advantages. And he has 3 copies. This is the Death Ray, the ray that he is holding in that miniature. During combat, you may discharge coils. So this is a running theme through his deck. If you discharge 1, this card's value is 5 instead. Discharge 2, this is value is 7. So I'm noticing he hits really hard. I mean, obviously some of them are conditional, but these are all like above 5. Like he's getting a lot of big attacks here. And then moving on to his defense cards here, this is a defense of 3, boost of 2, 3 copies. Intense experimentation. After combat, draw 1 card. You may discharge coils. For 1, instead draw 2 cards. Okay, instead of that 1, discharge 2 coils and instead draw 3 cards, and Tesla recovers 1 health. So yeah, these coils seem like there's going to be some really good application for them. But obviously you only recharge once per turn, so it seems like you have to choose the right time to use those coils. A lot of player decisions with this deck. Then that was all of our defenses. So yeah, just 1 defense card there. Next, we have our versatile of 2. This is probably my favorite artwork so far. Love that mustache. This is a versatile of 2 with 1 boost, 3 copies, a kinetic induction. After combat, charge 1 coil. If you won the combat, charge both. Okay, so there we go. We're able to charge up our coils more than once per turn. So this seems like not only drawing the right cards at the right time, but it really matters how you play your cards. This is a versatile of 2, boost of 2, 3 copies, repulsion blast. After combat, move the opposing fighter up to 2 spaces away. You may discharge coils. So if you discharge 1, also move Tesla up to 2 spaces. Discharge 2, also your opponent discards 1 random card. So less interesting with those coils there, but still, once again, decisions if you want to discharge them to get these bonus effects. And we got more coming. This is a 3 versatile, 1 boost, 3 copies. Immediately, you may discharge coils. Okay. And if you discharge 1, it's cancel all effects on your opponent's cards. There's a lot of cancel effect cards here that are 3 versatile or 3 defense. So unlike regular feints that are 2s, we're getting 3s, but they are conditional. And then 2, ignore that card's value. So this is a pretty good defense if they're about to beat you up. But then again, it is immediately, so you have to look and see what they're doing. And they like cards that, you know, like with Jacqueline High, where they discard cards to like up their boost, you would have to decide if you're going to ignore it before they discard all the cards. So very interesting, but you get 3 of those. Next here is a versatile of 3, 1 boost, 3 copies, Lightning Storm. After combat, you may discharge coils. For 1 coil, it is deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in your zone. If it's 2, instead deal 2 damage. So he has a lot of like kind of ranged damage, auto damage in this deck. I'm really liking this deck so far. Next is a versatile of 4 for Tesla. It is a 1 boost, 3 copies, X-ray radiation. During combat, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. You may discharge coils. So you're revealing the top card. And then if you discharge 1 coil, you discard the card that they revealed. 2, also add its boost value to this card. So once again, you decide if you want those effects, if you want to spend 2. Very fun. I'm just liking the choices you have to make in this deck. Next is Tesla Schemes. This is a boost of 3, 2 copies. If I'm not mistaken, I have not seen anything that boosts from your deck, so these high boost values aren't super helpful technically. This is Remote Control. Move all opposing fighters up to 2 spaces, gain 1 action. So that is interesting, where if you're fighting opponents like a 1v1 or a 2v2, you're gonna use this to put them in bad situations. But if you're playing adventures or you're having a team in 2v2, you might use this, or I guess it's opposing fighters. So I take that all back. I was thinking that you could move all fighters. So never mind, this card is just good for messing up your opponent. And then our last card here, Fully Charged. 2 scheme, 1 boost, 2 copies. Charge both coils, gain 1 action. Okay, so as I was saying before, that one you can definitely kind of chain reaction them. Where was it here? There was one. Yeah, the gain 1 action, draw 1 card. You could, play this one, gain an action, recharge your coils, play another, regain action. You could probably have like 5 or 6 actions in 1 turn. That's very fun. So I think this is one of those decks that's going to be very good if you're a good player. Maybe not one that you would give to new players, because there's a lot of decisions and a lot of knowing your opponent as well. So cool, let's move on to the next fighter. Dr. Jill Trent. So this is our last fighter. This one has a lot going on. We got our hero, we got a sidekick, and we got a little extra token here. I have not read what it does, so I'm very excited to see what it does. But quickly, let's look at our character here. So she looks like a old Action Comics kind of hero. I'm guessing she's maybe from an old comic book or an old tale or something. And I'm loving this new color we got on her. And then if we look at her sidekick here, this is Daisy. She is looking like she is cute, but she's gonna pack a real punch and beat you up. I can hold this so we can see it very well. And then once again, she has that rounded sides on her token, not like the other Unmatched fighters. But once again, I'm just being picky. So let's move on here. And speaking about being picky, I gotta bring this up just because I noticed it. But if we compare her health dial with even fighters from the same thing, her health dial is like just slightly smaller than the other ones. And I don't know why. I mean, this is literally Annie Christmas. She also has a sidekick, so it's not like they saved cardboard for her sidekick. But look, it's just barely ever so smaller. I wonder if that was an accident or on purpose. Either way, it's just one of those things that bugs me personally. But let's look. Yep, nothing on the 0 here. But this is Dr. Jill Trent. Looks like she has a bunch of gadgets flying out here. And looks like she's also ready to solve the case. And there is her back. I think this is my favorite back so far. Once again, I'm being picky if I'm just looking at the back of the health dials and judging them on that. But this is my favorite so far. I like all of her gadgets there. And then next we have Daisy. She is kicking into the middle there. Does she have something fun on her 0? Oh, it's gonna be this way. And 1, nope, just a regular 0. But same style. I like these ones back to back. They're getting each other's back. And then looking at the back here, it is the same as the other, but that's fine. We're okay if they match each other. And then I'm wondering if I should read this first or read the card first. Let's read the card first. So this is Dr. Jill Trent. She is a melee fighter with 13 health, and she has the sidekick Daisy, also melee with 6 health, so a 19 total. And this is Gadgetology, and it is at the start of your turn, activate one of your gadgets. Whenever Jill Trent attacks, resolve the gadget's active effect. So activate one of your gadgets. So she has multiple gadgets, or maybe she swaps them. And it's whenever Jill Trent attacks, resolve the active gadget's effect. So she's a move 2. Let's check out the gadgets, so that makes more sense. I'm hoping this is the gadget. So the first one here is Hypno Ray Blaster. So Hypno Ray Blaster. Wish she would have been holding it in her hand in the miniature. That would have been fun. Maybe she has it on her tool belt there. Can we see? Oh, sorry, a little bit lower. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Oh, can I see it on her side there? Nope, she doesn't have it on the miniature. That's kind of a waste. I wish it was like on her hip or in her hand. That would have been fun. So the Hypno Ray Blaster. During combat, if your card's printed value is lower than your opponent's, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. Increase the value of your attack by the boost value of your revealed card. So interesting. So it doesn't look like it has a limited use. So basically every time, this is basically her ability here. every time your opponent has a higher card, you get a basically blind boost from their deck. So that's pretty good. Next here we have Ultra Biotic Tonic. After combat, if your card's printed value is higher than your opponent's, Jill Trent recovers 1 health. Okay, so this is for higher, if you're higher than your opponent, and this one is if you're lower. So once again, the card did not say when we switch this, so I'm guessing we're gonna see that in the cards. And then here we go. Here is our card back. We have the exact same image over here. Is it a little bit lazy that they just kind of copied and paste? I'm gonna let you guys decide that because we probably already know what I feel. But this is a pretty fun card back. It does feel a little bit generic. I wish they would have done a little bit more like artsy with it, but we'll just look at the cards here. So this first one is a 5 attack, a 1 boost, 2 copies, energizing spray. So whenever gadget's there, interestingly enough, it has that, you know, outline, but it has that exact image we just saw on the back and on the health dials in the background. So I'm trying to wonder why they're doing that there, but after combat, gain 1 action. So nice attack of 5 for either one of them and any, and then keeps going. So 2 of those. Okay, I was really hoping that wasn't going to be the background for every card. So I'm relieved here. 2 attack for just Jill, and it is a 4 boost with 3 copies. And it is Battle of Wits. After combat, reveal the top card of your deck and your opponent's deck. If your card has a higher boost value, deal 3 damage to the opposing fighter. So yeah, Battle of Wits. You're literally comparing your deck with theirs, and if yours is higher, they get 3 damage. But it doesn't say that they damage you back, so, you know, high reward, low risk. So we have 3 of those. So that's all of our attacks. Next, we have our defense card. This is an any defense, and it is Indestructible Cloth, and that looks like actually the kind of like coat that she is wearing in the picture, so I love that. This is a 2 boost, 2 copies, the Indestructible Cloth. Immediately, this combat, your fighter does not take damage from effects other than combat damage. So very interesting. So I guess combat damage, so if their value does change by an effect, you're still going to take that damage because that would be part of the combat. But very interesting if you know the opponent and when they might attack you, just like Tesla or Golden Bat there. Alrighty, so this is a 3 defense for Jill Trent. This is probably my favorite so far. I like that imagery. And it is 1 boost, 2 copies, Hypnotist. Immediately, if your active gadget is Hypno Ray Blaster, cancel all effects on your opponent's card. So, okay, so you gotta make sure you have the right gadget at the right time. So far, we don't know how to change it, but let's see if it has it in the deck here. So next is a versatile of 2 for both of them, and any, and it is a 2 boost, 3 copies, Laser Pen. After combat, deal 1 damage to the opposing fighter. So quick little auto damage there. Next here is a versatile of 3, any, 2 boost, 2 copies, Insightful Deduction. After combat, reveal the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Put 1 of them on the bottom of the deck and the rest on the top in any order. So, okay, cool. So you get to look at them and say, basically, you're not using this really good card until the end of the game. And the other 2, I know when you're going to get them. So very fun, kind of that detectiveness that she has. Okay, so our first splash of color. I think that's perfect for the blood. This is a versatile of 1 with any. It is 2 boost, 2 copies, and it is caught red-handed, literally. After combat, your opponent discards 1 card. If you won the combat, they discard 2 instead. Kind of a boring effect for how fun the art is, but I like it. Next here, okay, Utility Belt. This is the one she is wearing in that miniature. A 3 versatile, 3 boost, 3 copies, so 333. The Utility Belt, after combat, choose 1. Jill Trent recovers 1 health, move Jill Trent 1 space, or draw 1 card. So, okay, so has lots of options. It's the Utility Belt. And then moving on here, this is a versatile of 3 for any, and this is 1 boost, 2 copies, and this is Stasis Diffuser. Immediately, the value of your opponent's card is equal to its printed value and cannot be changed. So great, it works really well in certain mashups because we know a couple of people that just keep boosting up their effects there. Next, here's a versatile 4 for any, a 2 boost, 3 copy, and it is Gyroscopic Jetpack. After combat, move your fighter up to 2 spaces. They may move through opposing fighters. Okay, so you're jetpacking over them. That's a fun card. We get 3 of those. And then next here, so this is our first Daisy only card. So let's see if Daisy is worth having around here. This is a 3 versatile, 1 boost, 2 copies, Sisters in Arms. This card's effect cannot be canceled. If Daisy and Jill Trent are adjacent and Daisy is attacking, Daisy gains the effect of Jill Trent's gadget. So personally, as I said, once again, we have to play with these fighters to figure out if it's good, but so far I'm seeing Daisy, it doesn't really matter if we keep her around. She has low health and she doesn't really seem like she's going to be doing anything good. And now I'm going to basically eat my words because this card looks kind of fun. This is a 5 versatile, very high value for a versatile, a 3 boost ace fighter. After combat, draw 1 card. Okay, so maybe we keep Daisy around for a little bit. She can defend big and attack big. So I'll leave that be. Then this is a scheme of 1. Not a scheme of 1, but a scheme for Daisy. So another thing that Daisy can specifically do: a boost of 3, 2 copies, helpful assistant. Shuffle up to 3 Jill Trent cards in your discard pile back into your deck. Draw 1 card. Okay, so I'm really eating my words here. Daisy is kind of nice. She's going to not only keep us from taking fatigue damage, but also get our best cards back. So I'm rereading this one here. I think when it says activate one of your gadgets, that means you can swap, is what I'm kind of deducing from the way that it's worded. Because I was kind of confused how you were going to swap that gadget, but I think the word activate here. Activate means flip. So not super clear, but I guess once you read everything, it kind of becomes more clear, but maybe we need to reword that to you can flip your gadget token, but that's all right. So that's all of our fighters. Let's move on to our villains.
Moth Man.
Here he is, the Moth Man. This miniature is just absolutely gorgeous. I already took a pretty good look at it whenever we unboxed, but he looks fantastic. My only gripe about this one, sorry for all the gripes I'm getting, but I wish he had a base. I wish they had a plastic base just like the other fighters had, because he feels a little naked without it. Like every time I hold him, I'm like, oof. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more here. And you can do it in that hexagonal shape, but you know what? How awesome he looks makes up for that base. So the villains are different. For those of you that don't know, they're not like our other heroes. You don't play as the villain. You're all working together against him. So let's take a look at his health dial here. So you will set his health for how many players there are. So if it's just a solo match here, you'll just fight him with 10 health. If there's 2 of you, it's 20. If all 4 people are playing against him, it's 40 health. So that's his health dial. It is very different than regular health dials because you have to accommodate for how much health he's getting. And I love that they got really creative with this huge shape here. And they even made the background circularness of it like jagged, so you can kind of see it around his eyes. But this is probably one of my favorite health dials. I definitely like it more than the Invaders one, but we'll take a look at that. And they didn't stop with the details. They got 2 X's over the eyes and blood splatter on him. So the health dial for him is really, really cool. So kind of talking about how it works here. So when you attack him, his cards have both an attack and a defense on it. So you will just flip the top card of his deck, and then depending on if he's defending or attacking, you will change the value. And it might even say on here if it talks about if he's defending. But the way he kind of plays here is he's all about these bridges so far. Obviously, I have not played with him just yet. I was just kind of doing this unboxing first and kind of giving my first impressions. But it seems like he's really focused on those bridges. He wants to destroy all the bridges to win. And then also with this kind of 1v one computer versus everybody else here, they have things called initiative cards, which are these guys here. So Mothman's also has one. So you would have one for player 1, player 2, player 3. So you take the turns in kind of a random order because you would shuffle these up, and then player 2 would go first, and then player 1, and then player 4, and then player 3, and then Mothman. So it can kind of happen in any order. And then you keep track of which player is who by having these tokens in front of yourself. So it kind of really changes up how the game works. And I didn't even notice as well that the Martian Invaders have more than one of these cards. So excited to kind of read those and kind of figure it out. Once again, I'm going in blind here, but just kind of taking hints on what I'm seeing here. But so for Mothman here, when it is his turn, he says right now, Mothman takes a turn. He has a move of 3. And from kind of skimming the rule book, whenever he moves to the closest fighter. If he can't reach another fighter, something happens. But once again, I have not read completely through the rule books. I'm trying to go in a little bit blind here. So end of round, advance the threat marker a number of spaces equal to 1 plus the number of doom tokens on the lowest numbered bridge. So yeah, so the Doom and the threat marker is kind of how he wins. So you want to keep those both low so that he does not win. And how we win is we need to kill him. So yeah, so that Doom token is going to keep going up depending on the bridges. And he also has to destroy bridges. So while we're talking about those bridges, there's a few, and these will go on the map, and there are also these lines here. So you actually use the bridges to cross between spaces. So whenever he destroys bridges, it also affects your movement. But if you look, the bridges also have special effects. Once again, I skimmed the rule book. I should probably read it a little bit more, but I believe here is that you discard a card when you're next to it so that you can use this effect, or maybe when you're crossing. Once again, we'll play it and see how it works. But this one is the effect of the covered bridge is a fighter recovers 3 health. So if this is repeatable, that's really good. If not, still pretty good. And then next here is the suspension bridge, and it is reveal the top 2 cards of an enemy's deck, discard 1, and of course put the other one back. So with enemies, it's going to be Moth Man, and then he's going to have some minions. We'll take a look at those in a second. But yeah, so you can kind of not only see what he's going to do, but also get rid of his best card. And then with discarding everything, I believe once you go through all of the minions or villains deck, they just reshuffle everything and goes back in there. So discarding isn't gone forever per se. And then next here is the draw bridge, which is aptly named because a player draws until they have 4 cards. Great for players that are constantly burning through their cards. You stick around the draw bridge and go back up to 4. But once again, just like regular match, if you keep drawing too much, you're going to take fatigue damage. And I guess I didn't show this yet, but on the back of each one it says destroyed bridge, and then it has these arrows which go with the map. Which once again, I'm not really reviewing how this game plays, just kind of checking it out for those interested in unboxing it with me. Maybe I'll do a full review of it later. And then this is the Trust Bridge, and it is move a fighter up to 3 spaces. And it's a fighter, so I believe the minions and Mothman all count when it comes to that. But once again, feel free to correct me in the comments if I got that wrong. I've not fully read the rule book. I'm just kind of going in blind with you guys. So now let's look at his deck here. And once again, this is all about you attack him or he attacks you with these cards, so it can be both defense and attack cards since it's not a real player. But I feel like maybe we can adapt these cards into a deck that we can actually play with and be the Mothman, but that's for the future. So let's take a look here. This is what these cards look like. We kind of took a peek earlier, but if he's attacking, it's a 4. If he's defending, it's a 2. And this is Mothman. It's also a boost of 2 and 2 copies. And this is Overwhelming Dread. He is sitting on top of that bridge there. During combat, increase the value of this card by 1 for each destroyed bridge. After combat, place Mothman in the closest empty starting space. And the starting spaces are those ones that have the little diamond with the number in it. So once again, he's trying to destroy bridges, and the more he does, the more powerful he gets. So definitely a scaling villain. Not so bad in the beginning, but gets worse. And the next Mothman card is a feint. So even the villains have feints. And this is a boost of 2, 2 copies, immediately cancel all effects on the opponent's card. So basically a versatile because it's 2 on both sides. And we have 2 of those. And then next here is Unimaginable Terror, a boost of 4. So a big boost with some characters. Let's say the regular fighters say discard the top card of your opponent's deck and add the boost value. This could potentially be that way. We'll see. I have not fully looked at these cards, but maybe they also can use boost values. Who knows? So if he's attacking you, it's a 4. If he's defending from you, it's a 3. After combat, deal 1 damage to each fighter each adjacent opposing fighter. For each fighter damage this way, add a Doom token to the lowest numbered bridge. So once again, he's adding Doom, and Doom is for the actual gameplay. But I said, have not played around yet, so we're just kind of learning as we go. And this is Visage of Impending Doom. It is a 3 boost, 2 copies. A 3 if he's attacking, a 1 if he's defending. So this is a pretty big difference. Immediately, if the printed value of the opponent's card is 4 or higher, ignore its value. So you can't attack him too hard or else he's just going to ignore you. After combat, if Mothman won the combat, add a Doom token to each bridge. So that's really scary. If you attack him with too high of a card, you get punished hard because he's not taking any damage and he's adding Doom token to the bridge. So and he's only defensive 1, so definitely a kind of a scary thing here. And then Deception. Mothman is a hoax. And this is a 0/0. Okay, so our first one here. 3 boost, 1 copy. Whenever this card is put into Mothman's discard pile, shuffle its discard pile back into its deck, including this card. This effect cannot be canceled. Okay, so I'll have to once again read through the rules, but I believe if he runs out of all of his cards, it just gets shuffled back in. But that'll get it shuffled in early. But once again, it's 0-0, so maybe you can get a good punch on him whenever he does that, because it doesn't say it cancels your effect here. And of course, you can't cancel it either. So it's very interesting. So that's the Mothman. Let's move on to our next villain. The Martian Invader. Here he is, one of the most unique, unmatched fighters, because he's not even a fighter. He is a floating ship. Adventures has really taken this game into a different direction, which I love it. I mean, we've seen it before. I mean, look at the Jurassic Park set. Just completely changed what fighters could be in the game. So yeah, this one's really cool. This one comes in 2 parts. So you can store it very easily. And I kind of mentioned the unboxing part, but that peg is super, super sturdy. So just taking this on and off is super, super like reliable, and you're not gonna worry about breaking or bending that peg. And then here is the Martian Invader health dial. And this one I have a slight gripe with. It is kind of boring, that's a circle, but it makes sense. It's a flying saucer, it's the top of the ship, so we'll forgive that. What I don't like is the little bit of peak from the health dial. Maybe it was so it's easier to move around, but they could have made it just a little bit bigger. But you know what? I'm not going to complain too much because they've done so well with this set. I do want to also point out the back of it. The bottom of the ship has broken open, and there's 2 little aliens popping out. And then before I move on to this other stuff, I did have to kind of look in the rule book a little bit, and I realized I forgot to show off the Doom tokens for Mothman, because they also are the alien tokens. And those are all with the cards. Before I kind of mentioned Doom tokens, so these aren't like little Mothman minions, they're just Doom tokens, and then there's little alien tokens. But we'll find out what they do here. So moving on from that, we also have these 4 tokens here. These are more tokens, kind of like the bridges that go on the map and are part of the kind of campaign of it all. And they have 4 different crop circles. So I believe these all go in the different crop sections. But yeah, so let's keep going and kind of learn more about the Martian Invader. This one I had to look through the rule book because I was confused about how many initiative cards there were for Martian Invader, but I'll explain that in just a second. So it's Martian Invader's turn. He is a move 3, and his is advance the threat marker a number of spaces equal to 1 plus the number of occupied fields. So 1 minimum, and then those occupied the fields, I believe, so up to 4 can be on there. And these ones have Martian Invasion Wave 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you put these in the deck depending on how many players there are. So with just 1 player, it's Wave 1, with 4 players up to Wave 4, so all 4 with 4 players. So let's read what these do. I believe they get harder as they go. So if there's just 1 player here, this one is all heroes and sidekicks adjacent to an occupied field take 1 damage. If no fighters took damage this way, add an alien to the lowest numbered empty field. Okay, so you keep adding aliens as it goes. This is kind of what the invasion means. And if there's 2 players, you'll have this card and Wave 2. Any player may discard a card. If no one does, add an alien to 1 field bordering the Martian Invader's space. So I'm guessing all these invasion spaces are all about adding aliens to these fields, which I'm guessing are going to be not only his goal to win, but also part of his deck. But let's keep learning. So with 3 players, it's those first 2 plus 3 here. Any player may discard a card with a boost value of 2 or higher. If no one does, add an alien to each field bordering the Martian Invader's space. So getting scared here. Now it's just not any card, it's at least 2 or higher. And then with 4 players, any player may discard a card with a boost value of 2 or higher. If no one does, add an alien to the highest and lowest numbered empty fields. So yeah, so it gets worse and worse. But the more I'm reading this, it kind of like the same effect. It's just they add more and more. So maybe you don't use all 4 of them with 4 players. Maybe you just use number 4. But I'm not 100% sure. So I'll have to read the rules when I actually end up playing. But definitely a very different play style from the Mothman. And then looking at this deck, which I do love the backs here. They look like they're from like a comic book series, which I really love. And then I did notice they put Tales to Amaze up in the corner here, both with Martian Invader and with Mothman, because they're villains. But if we look at one of the minion cards, they didn't put the Tales to Amaze up there. which you might be like, oh, like, you know, this is a villain, so they're kind of making it a little bit better, and you need to tell when it's a minion, not a villain. But they put minion on these guys, so I think, which I'll have to read through the rules, but I think they put the logo up in the front if it's a villain, because they need a specific board to be played. But the minions can be used with any adventure, so they took out the logo because it's for any adventures. But once again, not 100% sure on that, just my speculation from my first impressions. So let's look at the cards here. So this first one here is Lights in the Sky, a 3 boost, 2 copies. If it's an attack, it's 3. If it's a boost, it's 2. And then this one is a little symbol, which I believe matches one of these tokens. Let's see if there's a little star effect. There is. So I'm just guessing here, but it sounds like if this token is on the board, his cards gain effect. So I'm guessing if that symbol is on the board, then during combat add 2 to this card's value. If that's not on the board, after combat place the Martian invader in a space bordering the highest numbered empty field. Okay, so it's very interesting. I like how this one's very different from Martian Man already. And there's 2 of those, so I'm putting them on the back. Let's put them down so I don't accidentally read them again. Yes, there's a different symbol there. And this is They're Coming For You, a 1 boost, 2 copy, 2 attack, 3 defense. And this is that optional effect. During combat, add 1 to this card's value for each occupied field. So once again, it scales. It gets scarier as the game goes on. After combat, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in the Martian Invaders zone. Okay, I like that. And then next here is Unspeakable Experimentation. So yeah, that guy got real messed up in that picture. This is a 2 boost, 1 copy, a 4 attack, 4 defense. And this is, if that symbol is available, it is immediately the value of the opponent's card is 2 and cannot be changed. So that's scary. So we really don't want that symbol to pop up. After combat, place the Martian invader in a space bordering the lowest numbered empty field. So these are really moving him around. Okay, there's only 1 of those. So the high numbers and then that effect, that is kind of scary. So I'm glad there's only 1 of those when we're fighting him. And then this is Heat Blast, a 4 attack, 1 defense, 2 boost, 1 copy. After combat, deal with this optional effect, deal 3 damage to the opposing fighter. After combat, place the Martian invader in a space bordering the highest numbered empty field. Once again, moving him around. And then Nullification Beam, and this is a 3 boost, 1 copy. So he has a lot more effects than the Moth Man did. But this is a 4 attack, 2 defense, and this is that special effect. Immediately, if the Martian invader is in a space bordering an occupied field, cancel all effects on the opponent's card. After combat, place an alien in each field bordering the Martian invader space. So I have a lot of comments on these. I'm not really sure about the fields thing because I have not played yet. So maybe some of these cards are crazy and I just don't realize it just yet. I'm feeling a little bit lost because I definitely need to play. But this is the Freeze Ray, 2 boost, 1 copy, a 4 attack, 2 defense, and this is that special symbol again. Immediately, if the Martian invader is in a space bordering an occupied field, ignore the value of your opponent's card. After combat, place an alien in each field bordering the Martian invader space. So that's pretty scary because you're getting a bunch of aliens there. So I'll move that one down, and this is our last card, Deception. So when I skimmed through the rule book, I realized Deception is in, I think, all of their decks, and that is how it reshuffles. So it's not about drawing your last card, it's about drawing the Deception card. So that one, where is it? This one here, this scary card, can happen multiple times, and sometimes not after all the cards have been played. So very interesting. Let's move on to the minions. Okay, so this video is definitely getting way too long, so I'm going to kind of condense a few of these minions together. Let's look at all of their health dials and tokens first, and then we'll look at all their cards. So first up is the Skunk Ape. Another really fun health dial. I was just checking to see if there's a fun thing on the 0. But very beautiful artwork, and then on the back it says defeated, which I really like. So on the table, once he hits 0, you flip him over, he's defeated. So actually, I'll take it back, he does have a fun thing for 0 because he's defeated. And then next, let's actually look at his token real fast. So this is the Skunk Ape token. Once again, they did the hexagonal design instead of a circle so that they could just tell that they were villains and not, you know, your teammates. So yeah, so I really like how they did the minion design here with these tokens. Once again, they are rounded on the edge there, so maybe this is just how they're making their tokens now, and all the old Unmatched sets are obsolete when it comes to the rounded token. But that's just me being picky. So next is the Ant Queen, another awesome artwork there, and defeated. And then here is the Ant Queen's token. And then after that, we have the Loveland Frog, another great one. I will kind of point out, I don't think they are reusing the people in the front, so that's another bonus from them not reusing artworks. And then here is the Loveland Frog token. And then next up is the Tarantula, of course, defeated on the back with the token for the Tarantula. And then next up I have the Blob, which I'm very excited about this one. This is one of my favorite of the old, big monsters in movies. I'm familiar with a few of these, but the Blob movies is one of my favorites. It's just such a funny design. It's just this big gelatinous thing that can eat full buildings. And then here is the Blob token, which to me is a little bit weird, but once again, how can you make a token for the Blob? I mean, he's literally just gelatinous ooze. And then last here is I think one of my favorite designs, the Jersey Devil. And here is the Jersey Devil's health dial. Once again, on their side, defeated. Okay, so that's all of their health dials and tokens. So now we can look at their decks, because their decks are what make them all unique here. So I think we're going to start with their initiative cards. So first off, we have the Loveland Frog. And so on his turn, he takes his turn, and he's a move of 3. And his deal at the end of the round, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to Loveland Frog. And then add a Loveland Frog Strikes Again initiative card to the initiative deck before you reshuffle. So that was the other thing I had to look for the rules on this one, because I noticed he had quite a few initiative cards. So he's gonna be taking 4 turns on the 4th reshuffle, because the first time you reshuffle, he gets 2 turns. Third reshuffle, he takes 3, and then 4th reshuffle, he takes 4 turns. So he just keeps coming back with turns. So let's see what his deck is like, because maybe his deck is all about how many turns he has. So here is the Loveland Frogs deck. So first here, ooh, that's a really fun image. This is a 1 attack, 2 defense with a boost and 3 copies. So maybe he's a little bit like slowly pokes at you, because then again, he is taking a lot of turns. So if he was really strong, it'd be not very, very fun to just constantly get beat up by this guy. So he has 3 of those. And the next here is Leg Thrash, a 1 attack, 3 defense. And once again, so his attacks are low because he is taking 4 turns after a while. 3 boost, 2 copies. After combat, if the Loveland Frog won the combat, deal 2 damage to an adjacent opposing fighter. If there are 2 more adjacent, the players choose. So there's also kind of a theme with this, that if there's multiple targets for the bad guys to take, you get to decide who should be taking that damage. So 2 of those. So not a lot of variability in this guy's deck. Kind of took a sneak peek there, but it emerged from the swamp, 2 boost, 2 copy, 2 attack, 1 defense. After combat, place the Loveland Frog in the closest empty starting space, then deal 1 damage to each adjacent opposing fighter. And then lastly, we have his Deception card. So yeah, the Deception, every deck has a Deception, so I was wrong about the drawing his last card, reshuffling. But yeah, so he doesn't have any like strong attacks. He's all about kind of poking at you, but there was a lot of dealing damage to you if you're adjacent. So an interesting thing, the frog is just bouncing around the map, constantly attacking, but not really dealing huge damage. And then the next one I have here is the Ant Queen. So the Ant Queen card here, so she takes a turn, another move of 3. I believe basically all of them have move of 3. Let me quickly just double check. So yeah, every single villain here has a move of 3. And this is advance the threat marker 1 space, then if the threat level is 3 or higher, add a random strange pheromone initiative card to the initiative deck before you reshuffle. So this is the other one that has multiple of the initiative cards. Well, we'll go through this in just a second. But yeah, so this one is advance the threat marker every time. So that's real scary, because a lot of these villains, they need that threat marker to keep going up to get more and more powerful, from what I'm kind of gleaning from just looking through these cards. Obviously, have not played yet. I am unboxing it as we speak. So the first pheromone here, so she doesn't take a turn when the pheromone comes up, but each enemy in Ant Queen's zone recovers 1 health. And then including Ant Queen. So that's the first one here. It looks like they're all different. Yeah. The next here, so she doesn't get a bunch of turns like the frog does, but this one is deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in Ant Queen's zone. So very interesting. So each enemy. So the zone thing is kind of scary because either you're going to get 1 damage or heal 1. So do you or do you not want to be in her zone? Next is each player with a fighter in Ant Queen's zone discards a card. Okay, so 2 bad, 1 good. So most of the time we're probably not going to be around Ant Queen's zone there. And so now we can look at her cards. And we'll look at the card back real fast. Just kind of a bigger version of her health dial there. And this is She Can't Be Stopped. A 3 boost 2 copy, 3 attack, 1 defense. After combat, if the Ant Queen lost the combat, advance the threat marker 1 space. Okay, so the advancing the threat marker seems to be like her kind of idea of her deck here. And the next is Pheromone Frenzy, 2 boost 2 copies, 4 attack, 3 defense. During combat, add +1 to this card's value for each revealed strange pheromone initiative card. So okay, that gets kind of scary as the game goes. The threat marker gets above a certain level, you're adding those pheromones, and then the more pheromones that are revealed, the stronger this card gets. So there's 2 of those. That's scary. So it seems like Ant Queen might be a little bit stronger than the Loveland Frog. So this is Savage Swarm, 1 attack, 1 defense, 2 boost, 3 copies. During combat, the value of this card is equal to the threat level instead. And once again, she's bouncing that threat level up, so that's scary. There's 3 of those. And then her Deception card. So let's move on to the next one. I believe next up here I have the Tarantula. Let me quickly find it. There it is. So Tarantula. Tarantula takes a turn, move 3. Place a web token in Tarantula's space if there's not one there already. So I have to grab another thing from the box here. So she has quite a few of these, and this is the web token, and it says stop moving. So my guess is that if you move into her space, you're done moving, but then you can move out of it. So it would take you 2 maneuvers to get in and out of the space that has one of these tokens, and then maybe there's a thing in the rule book to get these off the board. But another fun thing here. So Tarantula is all about webbing you up and getting you stuck there, and there is the card back for her. So let's kind of see how this one plays. And so this one's interesting. So this is the first we're seeing how they're split here. So if she's attacking, she gets a effect here. If she's defending, she doesn't get it. And this is a boost of 3, 2 copies, 4 attack, 3 defense. And if you're attacking, this is Sinister Snare. Sinister Snare. Wow, if I can pronounce words right. This is during combat, if Tarantula is in a space with a web token, the value of this attack is 6 instead. So once again, her deck is all about these web tokens, it seems like. So this is Disorienting Venom, a 2 boost 2 copy, 3 attack, 2 defense, and this she can use with both attack and defense. Immediately cancel all effects on the opponent's card. If the Tarantula is in a space with the web token, also ignore the card's value. So scary whenever she's on the web token there. Next here, so another split. I'm surprised we didn't see that with like the villains or anything. This is 8 Legs of Terror, 2 boost, 2 copies. And we can look at the art there. I love the art. This is if you're attacking, it's a 3. This is after combat, place a web token in Tarantula's space, then place Tarantula in the closest empty starting space. Put the Tarantula's initiative card on the bottom of the initiative deck. So interesting. So there's 2 of these. So they move pretty far away, but they immediately get another turn. So that's kind of scary. So they twice can get another turn, and then their Deception card. Next is the Skunk Ape. And this is another move of 3. Deal damage equal to the threat level to 1 hero or sidekick adjacent to Skunk Ape. If 2 or more, you choose. Okay, so you don't want to be like ending your turn next to Skunk Ape, because if that threat level's high, you're getting some auto damage. So let's see if this one has basically a deck that has to do with the threat level here. So this is the Skunk Ape. There's the card back. And this is Back into the Brush, an attack of 3 and a defense of 3. Defense has no text. Boost 3, 2 copies. After combat, if Skunk Ape lost the combat, put its initiative card on the bottom of the initiative deck. So another card that, they can keep taking turns if they lose. Well, that one was if they lost. Another mixed up here. This is a 4 attack with text, 2 defense with no text, 2 boost, 1 copy. And this is During combat, if Skunk Ape did not move this turn, the value of this card is 6 instead. So another one that you don't want to end your turn next to him, because then you want him to move towards you, so that's not a 6 instead. That's scary. Next is Bestial Bite. This is a 1 boost, 2 copies, 2 attack, 2 defense. They shared the text this time. During combat, if the opposing fighter is a sidekick, the value of this card is 5 instead. Okay, so he's gonna kill off your sidekicks. And then our Deception cards. That one was a nice, easy, fast one. Just kind of hits hard, especially hits hard on sidekicks. Next is the Blob. Place an acid token in the blob space if there is not one already there. And this is another token that we get. This is the acid token. So he's gonna be spreading these around the map, and I'll have to look through the rules. Maybe if he runs out of them, he just picks a different one up and puts it there, or he can't keep spreading them. Once again, I'll have to read the rules for that. But take 1 damage. So if you enter the space, you take 1 damage. So he's just eating away at you with that acid. And now we can look at his deck here, our second to last guy, the Blob. Just from artwork and character, this one I think is my favorite, but let's see what the deck does. So, Acidic Explosion. This is a 4 attack, 2 defense, 3 boost, 2 copies. So if he's attacking, after combat, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in Blob Zone. Then place acid token in empty space in the Blob's zone. So he's just spreading his blobbiness all over and melting you down. That's just gross with those boils on him. And then we have It's Getting Bigger. This is a 2 attack, 3 defense, and 2 boost, 3 copies. So if he's attacking, it's during combat, add 1 to the value of this card for each acid token in the blob zone. After combat, place an acid token in each empty space adjacent to the blob. Man, this just makes him grow real fast. So once again, I need to read the rules and see if he can reuse tokens, or if he gets really big in the beginning and then he kind of dies down as it goes. And then this next one here is Caustic Spray, a 2 boost, 2 copy, a 1 attack, 2 defense. After combat, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter for each acid token on or adjacent to their space. So very, very scary. And it seems like he's going to spread it out from himself. So it seems like he's going to have a lot around him. So you're going to have to step into those spaces, take damage, and then get punished even more for being on them. So definitely scary. And then that's his Deception card there. So that is all of our minions. And now let's wrap it up. And before we look at the kind of final thoughts here, I did want to point out they also give you these amazing event cards. And in the rule book, it said that you can add as many of these as you would like to make your game harder. So maybe start the game with none of these, and then as you get better and you kind of know the villains more, you want more of a challenge, you can add any assortment of these amazing events. So let's see what the events do for gameplay. So the first one, they are rooted to the earth. Player effects cannot cause an enemy to leave its space. Okay, so definitely can hurt some fighters more than others. I feel like Bruce Lee definitely pushes people around, so that would definitely hurt him. Their strength grows. Add 1 to the values of all minion attacks. Okay, so just a passive buff. And then vanquish all evil. You must also defeat all minions to win the game. Okay, so defeating the villain is how you win, but you also have to do the minions. So that's, honestly, I like how they're doing this, because that would be a thing I would impose on myself, that, you can't just kill the main guy and the little guys are still, harassing the town. But I like this one. That's probably my favorite one so far. Paralyzed with Fear. If a minion attacks and wins combat, the defender discards a top card of their deck. That's definitely scary, because the more you're discarding the top of your deck, the less time you have. They Strike from the Shadows. Whenever you shuffle an enemy's deck, put its Deception card on the bottom of its deck. Okay, so I kind of feel like this is better, technically, because they can't just constantly be getting their good cards. But then again, if the Deception card pops up early, you're shuffling their deck before they even got to their good cards. So both good and bad in my opinion so far. In a Frenzy, if a minion defends and wins combat, deal 1 damage to the attacker. Okay, so it's punishing you for attacking a minion and losing. And then next here, they move like the wind. All minions have a move value of 5. Okay, so they all were at 3, so this is just buffs their movement. I like the kind of variety we're getting here. Their wounds close. Whenever you shuffle an enemy's deck, they recover 1 health. Okay, once again, just bumping up the difficulty. They have Skin Like Stone. Enemies cannot take more than 3 combat damage when defending. Okay, because whenever they defend with Deception, you're getting a full damage in there. So instead of potentially 7 or 8 or 9 damage, Only 3. They have no weakness. Deception cards have a value of 3. Okay, speaking of defense of deception cards there, never mind. This one says they have 3. And then our last one here, they smell blood. Whenever there is a tie for who the enemy attacks, it's always choose the target with the lowest health. If there is still a tie, the players choose. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about earlier on, where whenever these non-player characters here are attacking, and there's a tie of how close you guys are. If there's 2 of you playing, you guys get to choose. So it's kind of actually in your benefit to choose. This one says no, they pick the person that's easy to pick on. And wow, once again, I need to interject before the final thoughts because I didn't do the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil takes a turn. This is move 3. Each player with a fighter in Jersey Devil zone discards cards from the top of their deck equal to the threat level. Okay, so this is all about discarding, it seems like. Once again, I was just talking about how this is my favorite card back, and then I ignored him and didn't even show him off. And wow, look at that. He is scary. Blood Curdling Scream, an attack of 2, defense of 1, 3 boost, 2 copies. During combat, the opposing fighter discards 1 card from their hand or the top card of their deck. Add its boost value to this card's value. So yeah, he's all about discarding so far. And then Forked Tail Whip. I love this art. It's so pretty. Forked Tail Whip. This is a 3 attack, 2 defense, 2 boost, 3 copies. Immediately, if the opponent played a card with the same name as a card in their discard pile, cancel its effects and ignore its value. Okay, so you cannot attack him with the same cards because if they're in your discard, they do nothing. They're canceled and he doesn't take any damage. And if he's attacking you, that's 3 damage you're taking. So he's also making you discard, so you're also throwing away cards that you technically don't want to throw away. So this is a scary one. And then Triskaidekaphobia. Man, I hope that is even remotely close. Here's how you pronounce it. Okay, this is an attack of 1, a defense of 4, and the effect is only for the attack. 3 boost, 2 copies. Immediately, all players discard the top of their deck. All players, so not even the players that are in the combat. After combat, each player with 13 or more cards in their discard pile removes those cards from the game. Okay, that's really scary for any players that have recursion because you just throw them away. Technically, it can be better for that other card that says you have duplicates because this gets rid of the duplicates, but that is scary. And then Deception. So yeah, that is all the minions. I hopefully did not forget anything. Let's move on to the final thoughts. Okay, so I don't really have final thoughts because I have not played the game yet. But what I do want to quickly take a look at before we go is how it all stores in the box. So I feel like Unmatched does this very, very well. So I want to see how they handled this because this box is not really that much bigger than a regular box of Unmatched. I mean, you can see it just has a sliver more this way, but it's the same, height as the regular box. But they're also fitting a bunch of minions and 2 villains in this that are oversized compared to our regular fighters. So let's see how they kind of stored everything in the box. This is something that I love to watch in other people's unboxing, so I thought I might share with you guys. So of course, all the instructions on top. The board fits perfectly in here. If I take it out, you can see kind of where it lays in there. So it's not moving around as the box moves, which is nice. And then also in the middle here is where we can start. The health dials have exact perforations for where they sit, and then all of the minion health dials fit in there. So they're not gonna be moving around while you take this box places to places. And then so that fits in there as well. And then the Moth Man on top. And then a few of these spots, they didn't really tell you how to put it away. I wish they would have that in the end of the rulebooks maybe. But I put all of the minion tokens in this little slot, and then the Martian tokens, as well as the blob tokens, and the spiderweb tokens in here. This like random little slot they give you. And then once again, I do want to point out, they gave these 2 fighters nice little indentations so that they don't wiggle around while the box moves. But then these 2 got the poor treatment of just a cylinder that they go in. So not super happy with how those 2 sit, but super happy with how these 2 fit. And then looking up here, of course, we have a good spot for the Moth Man as well as the UFO ship, and the piece fits in there just perfectly. And then over here is all of the cards for both the villains and the minions, as well as the initiative cards and those, I forgot what they're called, but the amazing event cards. But if you might notice there, the space is too big for it. So these are going to be bumping around, which doesn't matter too much for cards, but definitely, you know, it's going to ruin the nice texturing it has there. Wow, I just spilled everything. So let me quickly put those back. So yeah, so all the cards fit up there nicely. And then you might ask yourself, obviously, you can quickly look at this. This is very normal to Unmatched. The health dial and the tokens have perfect spots for themselves, and they always fit them next to the fighter, so it's easy to know what goes with what. But they did do a couple things that kind of annoy me. This one doesn't have a spot. If we take out Annie here, she has a spot for her and her sidekick's health dial, but nowhere to put her gadget. I wish there was a spot there. I guess I could potentially put it under there, but there's this whole empty area, and this just kind of has to sit like loose, which I don't really like. I also don't like how this can easily kind of bend like that, which means that if I'm taking this in the car or jostling around, it could potentially bump itself up and maybe like raises the box a little bit. I push it down hard, I could bend these cards. So that's a little annoying, but once again, just got to point those out for those wondering. And then this is where some of the other pieces go that kind of annoy me. So with Golden Bat, you take out his deck here. He has his health dial, but for some reason, also under him is all of the initiative tokens, like for all the players, and then also the bridges. For whatever reason, they have perfect slots for them, so nothing else can fit there. But yeah, so for some reason, Golden Bat is in charge of the bridge and initiative tokens. I wish they would have had somewhere else to put them, maybe sideways up here, like within that area, or had perfect areas for them there. It just kind of feels weird to store them under Gold Bat. And speaking of which, under Annie Christmas here, of course, she has her health dial and her sidekick health dial, but that's just kind of the slot that I had to put the Doom and Alien tokens as well as the threat marker tokens, because there was nowhere else to put them. So yeah, so that, I mean, obviously all of these kind of annoyances that I'm bringing up aren't that big of a deal. This box is way better than most games, but obviously with Unmatched, I've been so used to how well they do things that I'm slightly disappointed, because it just feels like they phoned it in a little bit. But once again, I mean, we got to be impressed that they fit all of this in such a tight-knit box. And for like, what, $10 more than a regular Unmatched set, not only do you get your 4 fighters and a map, and a double-sided map, which they stopped doing, but you also get 2 villains, all the deck stuff for them, their health dials. So it's definitely a bargain. They had so much on their plate, and especially the fact that this is the first time they've done this, I'm proud of them. So yeah, anyways, I gotta go play this game, and also my toast is burning.